Chosen one, look at you. You don't even look like the same person anymore. They don't recognize your walk. They don't recognize your voice. They don't recognize your spirit. And honestly, that's exactly how it was meant to be. Because this isn't a phase. It's not a glow-up. It's not a new version of you trying to impress the world. No. This is a revelation, a sacred unveiling, a divine confrontation with who you truly are. And it's shaking the people around you to their core. They can feel it, but they can't name it. They can sense something's changed, but they'll never understand what was activated in the silence, in the pain, in the seasons where you disappeared. You're not evolving, you're emerging, you're not adjusting, you're remembering. This energy, this presence was always in you. But now, they can't look away, and they can't look at you the same, because you're not the one who changed. They were just never ready for the version of you that heaven always saw. Now listen, if this message already lit something inside your soul, do this. Like this video. Let the algorithm know the chosen are awake. Subscribe if you haven't. This space is sacred ground. And comment 99 below, because 99 is the number that reminds heaven of the one that was almost left behind, but wasn't. You were never forgotten. You were being hidden for this moment. Stay with me, because what I'm about to reveal will explain why your transformation is disturbing everything around you, and why it had to happen right now. The version of you they had in their mind? It's gone, erased, outdated, obsolete. They're still looking for the old you, the one who stayed silent just to keep the peace, the one who lowered their voice, their worth, their presence, so no one else felt uncomfortable. They remember the you who over-explained, who apologized for existing, who tried to earn love by shrinking. But here's the twist. That version was never the real you. That was the survival self, the mask, the echo of your potential, trapped in fear and people-pleasing. You see, they never knew your soul. They only knew your shell. They got familiar with your hesitation, not your holy fire. They saw your exhaustion, not your elevation. They memorized your insecurities, not your spiritual authority. So now that you're showing up as your whole, authentic, undeniable self, they're confused, uncomfortable, shaken. Because this new version, this revealed version, doesn't fit the narrative they built to feel superior. They can't categorize you anymore, can't dismiss you with labels, can't chain you to their expectations. You've stepped out of the script, and their control is crumbling with every word you speak in your real voice. This isn't rebellion. This is resurrection. You're not acting different. You're no longer hiding. You're not trying to be someone. You're finally being who you always were. And when the mask falls off, when your light gets too bright to dim, when your energy walks in 10 seconds before you do, they panic. Because they realize you were never weak. You were never lost. You were just remembering your power in silence. You see, they liked you better when you were manageable. Now, you're a force. You walk like someone who knows heaven is backing them. You speak like someone who's seen the valley and survived. You carry peace, but not permission. You move with grace, but not guilt. And that contradiction? It's burning their illusions to the ground. You're not theirs to define anymore. You belong to your calling now. And as much as they try to resurrect the version of you that made them feel safe, that person doesn't live here anymore. They're staring at a ghost and standing in front of glory. So now the tension rises. The room feels colder. They look at you and don't know what to say, because deep down, they feel it. Something ancient has awakened in you, and there's no going back. Hold that thought, because what's coming next will explain exactly why your presence alone is causing people to distance themselves. Even when you've said nothing at all, stay here. The truth is just starting to unfold. It's not just your words anymore. It's your presence. It's the way the air feels different the moment you enter the room. like something sacred just walked in, and no one knows whether to honor it or run from it. You don't even have to speak, because your silence now echoes louder than their opinions. There's a charge around you, an invisible current, a frequency their soul recognizes, even if their mind can't process it. That's why they fidget when you're near. That's why they avoid eye contact now. That's why conversations shift, energy drops, and small talk dies the moment you arrive. They don't know how to engage with someone who's no longer performing, no longer conforming, no longer playing the version of themselves that made others feel superior. You're not trying to be different, but you are being authentic. And that's something this world hasn't been trained to handle. Because you didn't just change your habits, you shifted your atmosphere. You didn't just cut off toxic people, you disarmed principalities. And every room you walk into now feels it. Not in a loud way, not in a showy, attention-seeking way, but in the deepest, most unshakable way possible. Spirit recognizes spirit, and your spirit has grown too heavy to be ignored. You carry peace, but it's the kind of peace that confronts chaos. You radiate light, but it's the kind of light that exposes shadows. You speak with softness, but your voice holds a weight that pierces through superficiality like a sword. They don't understand it, but they feel it in their body, a tightening in their chest, a sudden discomfort they can't name, a strange urge to prove something or to shrink. And here's why. Because when someone finally aligns with their calling, when they truly awaken to who they are, when they stop leaking energy trying to be accepted, their vibration rises, and anything that's fake, anything that's fragile, gets exposed by default. You're not trying to intimidate anyone, but truth is intimidating to those living in denial. Your alignment is agitating their avoidance. Your peace is provoking their chaos. Your authenticity is threatening their performance. Because you didn't just shift your look, you shifted your light. You didn't just glow up, you activated. And when you activate, you illuminate the parts of other people that they've buried. That's what makes your energy unbearable to some. Not because you're doing too much, but because you've stopped doing too little. You're no longer dimming your light to make others feel okay in the dark. You've accepted your role as a mirror. And mirrors don't lie. So now, they avoid you, but can't stop checking your page. They don't speak to you, but they feel the heat of your name in every conversation. They won't acknowledge your growth, but they're shifting in their seat every time you enter the room. Because this isn't charisma. It's not aura. It's not ego. It's anointing. The kind that can't be faked. The kind that wasn't learned. It was given. By fire. By storms. By silent nights when no one else saw you, but heaven did. And now, every step you take is sending a spiritual message. I know who I am now, and I'm not hiding anymore. You don't have to announce it. You are it. And that is what terrifies them most. Not your power, but your awareness of it. But what happens next? When you're no longer asking for permission to shine, but shining without apology? There's a ripple effect in the spirit. And in the next section, we'll expose why the timing of your transformation is making them even more nervous. Stay here, because heaven didn't elevate you randomly. There's a reason this awakening happened now, and not a second earlier. And that reason will change how you see everything. So, why now? Why is your transformation hitting like a lightning strike today, and not last year, not last season, not when you begged for it? Because the appointed time has come. Because the clock in heaven just struck something the world can't see. Because the cocoon didn't crack when you wanted, it cracked when God said, now. And once that word was spoken in the spirit, nothing on earth could hold you back. Not doubt, not delay, not the opinions of the people who tried to define you. You see this moment? It's not a coincidence, it's a convergence. a divine alignment of pain, preparation, pressure, and prophecy. And when the alignment hits just right, heaven doesn't ask you if you're ready. It declares you are. You didn't schedule this glow up. You didn't force this shift. You couldn't plan this version of you with vision boards or journal entries, because this wasn't self-made. This was God-revealed. It's happening now, not because you finally got strong, but because you stopped running from who you've always been. You surrendered, and when surrender touches destiny, everything dormant inside you begins to resurrect. Let me be clear. This breakthrough didn't come because you got lucky. It came because you endured, because you stayed faithful in seasons that crushed you, because you kept praying when heaven was silent, because you said amen with tears in your throat. And now, you're not stepping into a new chapter. You're stepping into the fulfillment of one that was written before you were born. This is what happens when purpose finally collides with perfect timing. You don't have to knock on doors. The doors open themselves. You don't have to chase anything, because favor finds you. You don't even have to explain the shift, because those who are meant to walk with you will recognize it in their spirit. And those who aren't will fall away without a word. Why is it happening now? Because now, you're spiritually mature enough to carry what once would have destroyed you. Because now, you no longer need the crowd to clap for you before you move forward. Because now, your roots are deeper than your wounds. And most of all, because now, the world finally needs the version of you that was hidden. Your voice, your fire, your clarity, your unapologetic truth. This world is starving for realness, and heaven knew that when you stepped into this version of you, you'd break chains without even trying. That's why it had to happen now. Not because you were late, but because prophecy was on schedule. But what happens when your divine moment arrives, and the very people who claim to support you start to shift? What if the real storm isn't your elevation, but their reaction to it? Stick around, because next, we're diving into the hidden resistance that shows up when the chosen one stops hiding. They're watching, but they're not clapping. Not because they missed your glow-up, but because they can't process it. They don't applaud what they can't comprehend. They don't celebrate what they secretly fear. Your transformation? It's too real, too raw, too disruptive. They can't wrap their minds around how you went from barely holding on to walking like destiny owes you answers. They remember the version of you they could comfort with pity. But this version stirs something inside them they can't explain. It's not envy. It's not hate. It's exposure. You represent something uncomfortable now, not because you did something wrong, but because you did something rare. You changed, without asking for their permission. You evolved, without waiting for their validation. And that's what they don't know how to handle. You stopped begging. You stopped explaining. You stopped needing their soft applause to feel worthy. Now, you move like someone who knows heaven claps louder in private than crowds do in public. And here's what no one tells you. Your transformation won't always be met with celebration. Sometimes, it's met with silence. Because your growth feels like abandonment to those who stayed the same. They'll say, "You've changed," like it's a betrayal. But really, it's a confirmation. They miss the version of you that needed them. The one that second-guessed every move. The one that asked, "Is this okay?" But that version is gone, and the new you doesn't apologize for existing, doesn't shrink in sacred spaces, doesn't lower your frequency to meet people in their comfort zones. So, what happens? They withdraw, they get quiet, they create distance without explanation. Not because you're hard to love, but because your truth is hard to face. They watch your stories, lurk your posts, read your captions like scripture they pretend not to believe in. They see you, but they can't clap, because clapping would mean acknowledging your resurrection, and that would force them to confront the tombs they still sleep in. But here's where the shift happens. You stop looking for their response, and you start trusting God's reaction. Because isolation isn't punishment. It's proof of elevation. He removed the noise so you could hear the next instruction. He silenced the crowd so you could finally recognize your own voice. He let them walk away so you'd realize you never needed them to begin with. This isn't loneliness. This is consecration. You're not being left out. You're being set apart. And those who were meant to be part of your destiny, they'll return, not confused, but converted. Until then, walk with your head high, even if the claps are absent, even if the room is quiet, because heaven is standing. And what's next is going to show you that this silence was the sound of the enemy losing power. But get ready, because in the next section, we're going to reveal the hidden reason why the resistance around you is intensifying now, and why the enemy is rattled by your presence like never before. Keep watching. The spiritual war you're feeling, it's not random, it's a response to what you carry. Let's make one thing clear. You're not becoming someone new. You're remembering who you've always been. This question mark. This isn't a makeover. It's a revelation. The glow up isn't cosmetic. It's cellular. It's soul deep. It's sacred. You didn't level up to fit in. You ascended to wake up. This isn't about aesthetics or applause. This is what happens when a chosen one finally removes the mask and walks in the fire without flinching. The version of you that's emerging right now, it's not artificial, it's ancestral, it's eternal. You are the echo of prayers whispered generations ago, the embodiment of prophecies spoken in secret, the answer to battles your bloodline never got to win. This is not reinvention, it's remembrance. Because you were never weak, just weary, never lost, just buried, never average, just asleep. But now, you're awake. And when a chosen one awakens, they don't become what the world wants. They become what God designed. So let them whisper, let them speculate, let them shrink your story into labels they can manage. They can't define you because they didn't design you. They didn't survive your dark nights. They didn't bleed through your silence. They didn't carry your calling while fighting demons no one saw. So no, you're not here to be understood. You're here to be undeniable. You're not a brand. You're a burning bush. And people will either bow to the fire or back away in fear. Either way, you don't shrink. You don't dilute. You rise. You roar. You remember. And in that remembrance, something supernatural happens. You stop performing and start possessing the space God gave you. You no longer explain yourself to people who were never meant to hear you. You no longer try to earn love from those who can't even love themselves. You walk in a room and don't wonder, do I belong here? You declare, this space was waiting for me. Because when you evolve from remembrance, you don't chase, you attract. You don't blend, you blaze. And the moment you stop needing the world's approval is the moment the heavens release a level of favor that no algorithm, no opinion, no closed door can block. This is who you've always been, before the trauma, before the lies, before they tried to convince you otherwise. You're not stepping into something fake. You're finally standing in your fullness. So don't flinch, don't hold back, don't lower your voice just to make them comfortable. Because your roar is revelation, your walk is warfare, your light is legacy. And what's coming next isn't about proving them wrong. It's about proving to yourself that every scar, every setback, every silent night was worth this unveiling. But now comes the moment everything shifts. Because what you've become is unstoppable. And next, we're stepping into the final activation of this message. Stay with me. This last part will tie it all together and leave you walking in power you didn't even know was yours. Chosen one. Breathe. Not because you're tired, but because your spirit just remembered itself. You are not broken. You are not lost. You're just no longer pretending. This isn't a glow-up. This isn't aesthetics. This isn't image. This is prophecy, unfolding in real time. And no, they can't recognize you, because this version was hidden in glory all along. You didn't get better. You got real. You got honest. You got anointed. This isn't evolution for the sake of applause. This is resurrection for the sake of calling. You didn't change, you rose. You ascended without a sound. And now that the veil is gone, nothing will ever